don't take it too hard on yourselves. This school still has a lot to be proud of, and it should be proud of its athletes. We have won multiple WAC titles, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. And for those who aren't athletes, we've gotten superior ratings and many other activities. We're an awesome school, aren't we? Yeah. As a famous poet, philosopher, Drake, once stated, we started from the bottom, and now the whole team's here. So not only can we say that we did our best at the not only can we say we're the best in the Western Athletic Conference, we can also say that we own the hatchet, right? We are the class of 2016. We are Dodge City, and I'd like you guys to repeat this chant with me. We are. We are. I said we are. That's right, guys. We are Dodge City. We're the class of 2016, and we're the best, and we're ready to carry on. And my last challenge for you today is to find your purpose by pursuing your passion. I think no one says it better than California girl, Katy Perry. Find your passion and nurture it. I know that I'm still lost in what I'm meant to be, but I know that for many of us, we have many gifts. Gift of speaking, writing, intelligence, intellects, dancing, singing, whatever it may be. Find it and nurture it. The following verse of Wayward Son goes on to say, if I claim to be a wise man, well then it surely means that I don't know. And the truth is, I don't know everything. But I know that I have something to offer to society and to the rest of us. And I know that all of us also have this same potential. We can do our best and give everything we have. And I think no one says it better than Terry Orklick, a professor of sports psychology. The heart of human excellence begins to beat when you discover a pursuit that absorbs you, frees you, challenges you, and gives you a sense of meaning. Don't be afraid to pursue your gifts. Nurture them. They may be the key that ignites your passion, that will give you and sustain you for the rest of your life. And the final lines of Wayward Son go on to say, carry on. You will always remember. Carry on. Nothing equals this splendor. Carry on. Now your life's no longer empty. Finally, we are here today because someone cared for us. Someone wanted us to succeed. Someone pushed us and encouraged us. So for all of those out there who are willing to take in the responsibility of raising a child, thank you so much. This moment is for you too. This is for those parents who stayed up late at night to earn a college degree so that they could provide you guys with a roadmap to success. It is for those families that migrated here from another country to give you a better opportunity. This is for that guardian that raised you and took you in as their own so that they could give you the opportunity to do more than they ever dreamed themselves. This is for that single parent who raised you and your siblings on their own so that you could walk up here today and get your diploma and maybe become the next Bill Gates or Nicki Minaj. So let's please give a round of applause to those who raised us. And as I finish here today, I would like to say, I love you, Mom and Dad, and a shout out to my fam. And a special shout out to my senior class, and I love you guys. And remember, never give up. Always do your best. Live your life with a purpose. Thank you all so much. God bless, and carry on.
Hey, Yvonne, don't run off of that stool. I might need it. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. Charles Dickens. For me, this quote represents two things. One, it shows the roller coaster of emotions we jumped onto in August, And two, it reminds you that Charles Dickens is extremely wordy, and you never have to read him again! Seriously, there are about 6 more comparisons before he gets to the point. Much like Charles, I seem to have strayed from mine. My point being that this time is one of great potential. We're graduating high school and going off to become adults, which is terrifying because I still can't do mental math. You can laugh, it's okay. We're going off to become the next generation of doctors, lawyers, and Kardashians. Okay. Joseph Campbell was an American scholar who redefined the classical hero from the standards set forth by the playwrights of ancient Greece. A man whose work led to the creation of the Da Vinci Code, Star Wars, and Harry Potter. Campbell was responsible for the monomyth, or the process a protagonist will go through to succeed in his quest. I like to consider myself involved in the arts, especially theater, and if theater has taught me anything, it's taught me that everyone has a story. That everyone is the protagonist in their own lives. That, yes, everyone is stupid enough to sell an entire cow for 4 magic beans. That being said, I'd like to take a moment to show each and every one of you how you have all earned the right to call yourself a hero. Step 1, the ordinary world. From elementary school to middle school, we lived in a naive bliss, immune to and unknowing of the great adventure which awaits us. Then again, middle school was mostly just a cloud of acts anyways. Step 2, the call to adventure. Freshman orientation. That glorious night when we first stepped into the auditorium to hear all about this magical new place we were going to be spending the next 4 years of our lives attending. Step 3, supernatural aid. In many cases, this would present itself as a wise and experienced person, maybe a teacher or an older sibling. But for many of us, it was the internet. Many a time we would feel overwhelmed and unsure how we were going to fit everything we needed to do into one night, when suddenly, the holy light of the iPad notification burst forth and reminded us of websites like Shmoop to pull us on through. And also, where would we be without BuzzFeed? I mean, really. Step 4, crossing the threshold. At last, we had grown prepared enough to enter the hallowed halls of this magical realm. This was the moment all our excitement had been building to. Maybe we even got up a little early to make sure everything was exactly where we needed it. The energy was tangible. The excitement was palpable. The mysteries unknowable. And they would remain that way for a very long time because, class of 2016, we were all about to learn just how long the line is to get into the high school. Step 5, challenges and temptations. Now past the threshold and into the magical world of high school, it was time to face the challenges of this strange place. And boy, was it full of challenges. Finding your classes, the lunch line, doing your homework, the lunch line, summer PE, and the lunch line, just to name a few. And even though we couldn't always ask out that cute girl in biology, things had a way of coming together at just the right time to remind us that high school is an incredible place and that we, as a student body, are extremely lucky to have the staff that we do. Step 6, the abyss and transformation. The darkest point in our lives where all hope seems lost. I'm sure at some point this year, we've all felt the cruel sting of senioritis. And whether it was Spirit Week, when boys decided to wear short shorts, or the last day of spring break when you realized there was a government test that you had not studied for, it was almost impossible to continue on that arduous 4-year quest when, out of the glorious haze, the final quarter struck us like lightning. Suddenly, we had a mere 9 weeks left before our glorious victory in the battlefields of McCarty, Chagru, Hoover, and Tolson. And that allowed us to push on to the final step. Step 7, return to the ordinary world. Here it was that our cycle began anew. Our once magical world has become the ordinary world from which we have heard our next call to adventure, whatever that call may be. Each of us has walked a different path, fought a different fight, had different mentors and skills, but we all completed the journey. I know we are destined to succeed in the next quest because we know how to be heroes. That's the wonderful truth behind Joseph Campbell's work. It's not a straight line moving towards the end like a bullet. It's a cycle. When one door closes, another opens. Success isn't always a linear path. We're about to go forth and change the world. And as we do, remember that you are the hero and that this is your story. I believe that J.K. Rowling said it best. All was well. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Wow, I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that up. Those were really good speeches. Okay. My name is Natalie Baeza, for those of you who do not know me. I was given the honor of being the class historian for the class of 2016. My job today, as historian, is to take us all through the many years of school we have been through together and revive the memories of growing up alongside each other and leading up to this special moment. Our class has lived through some of the best moments ever. We lived the moment of hiding our tears when we wanted Nemo's dad to find him, and also mimicking The Incredibles while our parents just watched us demand to know why we didn't have super suits. Then, when they told us to use the sheet as a cape, we would rant about how Edna would chew them out if she would have heard them. We were there when the Space Cadet pinball game was living its last years on our huge dinosaur PCs. And we all got frustrated because we couldn't keep the ball up for more than a minute each try. I remember that game got me so frustrated, I'm pretty sure I heard dinging in my sleep. Okay. Before technology was as advanced as it is today, we actually went out and rode bikes. We played hopscotch, jump rope, and had contests with the neighbors' kids to see who could hold a hula hoop up the longest. Everything was fun in the sun for the longest of times, and then our lives in the classroom came along. 2003 was a year of importance. The new millennium began, and we were introduced to the 21st century. Little did anyone know the 21st century was about to be introduced to a bunch of butt-kicking, legendary kindergartners. This was the year we all strapped on our backpacks that were decorated with the characters ranging from the Powerpuff Girls to the Wiggles. We all met a bunch of strangers our own age who would later become some of our closest friends, and who we would share our 64-pack of crayons with. We all know that whoever had that pack was a stud. This was the beginning of the next 13 chapters of our lives. I still remember walking into school at Lynn Elementary and meeting the principal, Miss Deegis, who is now working at the high school, and being taken to the gym for my first day with Miss Schneeweiss. My favorite part of every day until the 4th grade was when we all got to see Miss Armstrong, and she would teach us to sing and dance for the programs we put on. Every once in a while, I can still hear her sing, Miss Mary Mac, 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 all dressed in black, black, black. And then I think of how much I miss us all singing along. We were all the best of friends, and we were tiny, energetic goofballs. I remember getting cupcakes on someone's birthday, and we gave our crushes an extra lollipop on Valentine's in hopes that they would get a clue. But sometimes they didn't. Every elementary school was the greatest until we got the first glimpse of a nightmare that would get worse and worse through the years. This nightmare was homework. We were led into that trap with fun stuff like coloring, but next thing we knew, we were doing nothing but long division and fractions. But I guess we all need our edumacation, am I right? Eventually, we had to say goodbye to our teachers, and we faced the fear of entering a new school. 5th and 6th grade was new beginnings for most of us. We met people from other elementary schools, and we howled alongside them every morning now that we were Comanche Coyotes. I mean, unless you went to school, then I feel sorry that you had to miss out on this event. Letters were introduced to math. Reading was truly poetic. Social studies was the most boring thing ever. And science was taught by a strange man who nailed the Napoleon Dynamite dance at the school talent show. That's you, Mr. Kopp. I don't know if you're in here, but that was pretty good. We were also introduced to the wonderful world of instruments. I'm surprised our orchestra teacher, Miss Mickey, did not wear earplugs because we were horrible, okay? It was bad. Next thing you know, there would be a loud sour note in the room next door from a clarinet. We were either band geeks or orchidorks. I want to apologize to our parents for the next couple of years, our early teen years. We were all rebels, and we believed that we didn't need anybody because we were adults. All anyone ever received was a sigh or an eye roll. In our defense, we couldn't even handle our own sassiness. DCMS was a new chapter for most of us here today. We were labeled Smurfs with blue, white, and khaki colors we wore. It kind of sucked when we would get a conduct for forgetting to tuck in our shirts. We were the Cardinals, and now sports were introduced to us. We were athletes and club goers, which made socializing much more important now that there were cliques. An important topic was always who's dating who, and is little Jimmy taking Sarah to the dance? Those aren't real people, by the way. The days of equal Valentines were over, and there would always be that one person walking around with that huge, ridiculously oversized bear. Then we would hear Mr. Small yell at someone with his New York accent and say, "What are you gonna do with that huge thing? Live in it, you weirdos?" And then he would continue to make teenage boys run out of the room traumatized after seeing a video of the circle of life. As we wrote our essays, we would blast Katy Perry through our iPods, and I'm pretty sure we would end up dancing instead of doing homework. We became familiar with all-nighters and finals. We had the stress of getting good grades and being great kids overall. The 8 classes a day helped us begin to explore our possibilities along with extracurriculars. And we didn't realize that we were getting into a similar routine like the one we would have in high school. I bet right about now some of you are thinking, not all of us went to public schools. I got you guys covered. The Sacred Heart colors were white and red, and you guys wore uniforms that were red, blue, and khaki. You were the Mighty Cougars. I did some asking, and here's what I got. This is a small school with a big heart. Everyone grew up together until 8th grade. You guys were practically a family, but the competition was real. Everyone tried to show off with their spelling bees, geography bees, religion bowls, and math competitions. There were the socials that the parents hosted and the prayer before every meal. The school was small, and a new student was a huge deal. Sacred Heart sounds like a good simple school where everyone wanted to get ahead in life and succeed. But my personal favorite part of asking my friends who went to Sacred Heart about their experience was when they would tell me a story of when they were being mischievous. These are funny. Some of these stories included a corn dog slap fight, being awed when a student killed a wasp midair, and also one of my friends admitted to breaking a fan and bragged about how he never got caught. And then there was the closet. We won't talk about this because not even I was told what that's about. All of us came from different experiences, but we all came together for the best years of our education. It was time for us to become freshmen and slowly begin to move into adulthood, when we had to do our own laundry instead of it magically appearing on our beds. High school was our rite of passage into becoming grown-ups. Ugh. We entered a school full of schedules, clubs, and a bunch of events we wanted to attend. This was when we all became a part of something. It is really hard to not be involved in something because there's so much to do. There was sports, groups, clubs, and even a class could feel like something, like a group, if it's fun enough. We all met the new administrators and teachers. We met the wrath of Steiner and his list of unexcused absences. Feist would always be running around school somewhere, and Dee just clung to her walkie-talkie like her life depended on it. There was Lampy, Martinez, and Hartzler, who would all of a sudden show up in your classroom. When this happened, you knew to act normal, meaning don't zone out in the middle of class. Every day was a Fast and Furious reenactment to get to class. We learned to cope with the hectic lunch lines and morning chaos with traffic. All of us had already connected with our friends to make sure we didn't end up sitting alone with strangers at lunch. We each began building student-teacher relationships, and they were our mentors. We took different classes. Some of us took regular classes and other honors. There were many more teachers, and each of them gave us a new experience. Freshman year was our time to get settled in and learn the ropes of being in high school. We were the newbies, and we got picked on all the time because we were underclassmen. This meant that we were initiated into the school by being booed at pep assemblies. Sophomore year was a lot easier. We knew what we were doing, and we even sometimes helped the freshmen. By this time, everyone had something to do. We were athletes, there were the theater kids, there were brainiacs, the entrepreneurs, and so many others. We had survived the freshman year booings, and we were moving into learning what we wanted in life. This was our transition year. We were beginning to feel the freedom of driving, and some of us managed to get jobs. We found our own groove. Junior year was a difficult year. We were now upperclassmen with a lot more responsibility. The class difficulty went up a notch if you were brave enough to take an AP class. We had to worry about the ACTs and make sure we didn't oversleep for a 4-hour test that began at 8 a.m. That was frustrating. The college brochures began to arrive, and we all began to think of the decisions as to where we're going to go for college. All-nighters were a lot more intense and sometimes consisted of 2 or more energy drinks. The seniors were those who we looked up to. They looked like they had everything in place as we were about to take their place. The one thing they didn't take was prom. That was ours. Senior year finally arrived, and we were full of anticipation for the year to end, even though it hadn't even begun yet. All we thought was, yes, finally no more high school. But slowly yet surely, the idea of the routine we were used to ending was starting to sink in. This year, the excitement for everything amplified by like 1,000. We cheered louder, played harder, and performed better because we knew that those were our last moments as DCHS students. Proof of this is that most of our sports teams won WAC this year. It's pretty awesome that the tennis team won WAC after 27 years and made it to regionals for the first time. Yeah. The Pride of Southwest Kansas has received superior ratings all 4 years that we've been here. Way to go, guys. We had peers go to state for playing instruments or for group competitions like those with an amazing voice who can debate your ears off as well. Our archery team is a 2-time state champion. I hope that's right because I didn't really know that. And last but not least, Dodge has the hatchet. We attended every last event we could be at and played our part in putting most of these events together. We wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything. There were the dances, blood drives, musicals, plays, concerts, games, meets, and so much more to see and do. It's really hard to fit all of it into one last amazing year. Senior year, we met the teachers who would give us advice for the future, like Mr. Dusso, who would never sugarcoat it and answer our questions honestly. Then we had Hendrix's class, where we all got super frustrated when she would tell us to solve the problem on our own because that's what our lives would be like. If we ever wanted a pep talk, we would go talk to Coach Foster because his pep talks are so great. Sometimes he made me feel like I could run a mile. I never did, but almost. We have our friends who help us out, and sometimes they become our second families, who we won't lose contact with even after we separate to different colleges. This year, I became close to many people who I never expected would be there. I would name you guys off, but you guys know who you are. I love you guys. Love you too, I don't know who that was. All excitement aside, this is our time to get serious. We are becoming independent now, and we're finally going off to become the successful people we want to be. By this time next year, we could quite possibly be broke college students with a whole new level of staying up and cramming for finals. We will no longer have our parents to look up to when the doctor asks, what seems to be wrong? Yes, guys, that means we're gonna have to explain all on our own, instead of awkwardly sitting there as mom talks. We will be fully responsible for ourselves, and we won't be able to yell, Mom, have you seen my left Sperry? Or, has anyone seen my homework? We will have bills, and those times that we made fun of our dads for being bald will haunt us in our sleep. Adulthood is scary and sounds like a lot of work, but we can get through it. We've gotten through all of this, right? I would like to make a request for my fellow graduates to give a round of applause for those who are here for us tonight. For our parents and guardians who have helped us through all of it all,